Of all the ways the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted the way that distributors do business, one of the biggest adjustments has been in the sales process. Many industrial distributors rely heavily on their outside sales staff, who are typically tasked with building, maintaining, and deepening relationships with customers through face-to-face interactions. In normal times, this means visiting customer locations and trade shows, and the pandemic has largely made that impossible throughout 2020, and it figures to remain so well into 2021. Like teachers and professors throughout North America, these sales representatives and managers have had to quickly learn how to sell in a virtual format. And in an industry that tends to be old school and slow to adapt, it's no easy task. To discuss this challenge, I recently spoke with Mark Allen Roberts, who is the founder and CEO of OTB Sales Solutions, a firm that specializes in sales training, coaching, and strategy development aimed at improving sales effectiveness. So Mark, in a nutshell, why is adapting to a virtual sales environment so hard for seasoned salespeople?
Well, you figure a lot of distributor salespeople have been face-to-face most of their career. They're doing things intuitively. If you ask them to list everything they do on a call, not many could actually do it. It's kind of like riding a bike. Tell me how to ride a bike. You can't. You have to do it. So about 60% of distributor salespeople are struggling right now making the change to virtual selling, but they don't need to. And the good news is, what the studies are showing and the data is showing, is the more seasoned salespeople that have more than 15 years are much quicker to adapt to virtual selling with some training and coaching.
My gut tells me that recently hired salespeople, especially those that are younger, might have an easier time adapting to virtual selling than seasoned salespeople. But I also feel like that could be a misnomer. So who seems to be faring better in this environment?
Well, as I said, a lot of salespeople are struggling, both recent hires that we've onboarded, but also people that have been with your team 20 years. What we're finding through our assessment tools is it's actually the younger, maybe they've been there less than 5 years, who are technically savvy, but they don't have the product and application depth that are struggling. And then we're also finding people on the other side, about, like I said, 60%, who might not have the tech savvy or the virtual selling skills, but they have the product depth and they have the application experience. So once we figure out what the need is, then we can quickly coach and train. For example, a lot of people struggle with social selling. And if you're not familiar with it, I mean, social selling is a quick way to connect with the right people, particularly when you're prospecting. So both groups typically need help with social selling as well.
All right, Mark, are there a couple best practices that you can share to help these salespeople adapt to virtual selling?
Well, when this first hit, I want to say it was March, April, I started creating some very short 40-minute courses to get people tuned up. And one of them is simply called virtual selling. And I teach people how some of the best practices are, don't forget about asking really good questions. Things that you might have seen when you were visiting a customer, walking around their facility, maybe in their office. Now you have to ask on the phone or ask on a Zoom call. So have really good rapport questions, discovery questions, and qualifying questions. And by the nature of your question, you can demonstrate competence and build trust. Once you have that, and again, I built 3 courses on this, you can have business acumen, where you understand the business of your customer's business and start having business conversations. All of those are really important to engage and win business today.